My name is Senator Jason Lewis, and have the privilege of representing Wakefield and surrounding communities in the state Senate. And I want to thank you all very much for attending our latest community conversation. These are a series of forums that we've been holding and will continue to hold throughout the district on important issues that affect the residents of our communities. I want to start by thanking very much our really invaluable veteran service officers, our VSOs, for co-sponsoring the event tonight. And if they could just stand up, as I mentioned their names, just so everyone knows who they are. You probably do already, at least in your own community. But we have Kevin Jarvis for Malden. Kevin's here. We have Alicia Redden for Melrose. Alicia, thank you. Kevin Beaumiller, for Reading. Kevin, there's Kevin, thank you. Jim Devlin Stoneham. Thanks, Jim. We have somebody who's quite new, actually, Karen Burke for Wakefield. Karen, on the phone. Okay. So for those who haven't yet met Karen, she's working closely with Alicia in Wakefield. And then I'm not sure if he's here as well. Al Weil, Winchester. There's Al. Thank you, Al. Great to have you here. Thank you. And I believe we have maybe a couple other VSOs from other communities. Could you just stand up and be recognized? Just tell us who you are.
Terry Stater, Westford.
Great.
Jordan Warren, Boxford.
Good.
Karen Tyler, Easton Essex.
Mark Silvestri, Revere.
Great. All right. Thank you. All right. Thank you all so much for joining us. I also want to thank the couple of people that you saw at the tables when you came in. We had the Edith Norse Rogers Memorial Veterans Hospital, the VA hospital in Bedford that was here. We had Stephen Fernandez from the Career Place, which is helps with employment opportunities over in Woburn. Representatives from the State Treasurer's Office, Treasurer Goldberg. And we also, I believe, have Dennis Magnasco from Congressman Moulton's office. Dennis, you're here in the back. Thank you very much, everyone. And is Jimmy Santos also here? I'm not sure if Jimmy was able to make it. Okay, but I know that he's with Congresswoman Clark's office, and they're also very supportive of all of our efforts around veteran services. So I want to thank everybody for being here. If you didn't get a chance to talk to one of the organizations, you should, hopefully you'll be able to do that also at the end of the program. Of course, as you know, our topic tonight is our veterans in the Commonwealth. And I want to say, first and foremost, to all of the veterans who've joined us tonight, thank you for your service to our country. Thank you. We are forever indebted to you. This is a very important conversation, given the sacrifices that our veterans have made on our behalf, and also the sacrifices made by the families of our veterans. I really like a quote from George Washington, who said, "The willingness with which our young people are likely to serve in any war, no matter how justified, shall be directly proportional to how they perceive veterans of earlier wars were treated and appreciated by our nation." I think we really do try to take that to heart in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, and I'm proud of the efforts that our state legislature has made in recent years, expanding various benefits and services and supports for our veterans and their families. As you may be aware, the legislation that has been enacted includes the Valor I Act, the Valor II Act, and the Home Acts. Let me just quickly, for those who are not familiar, just mention a few of the things that these bills have addressed. The 2012 Act relative to veterans' access, livelihood, opportunity, and resources, short that can be shortened to VALOR, VALOR 1, increased supports for veteran-owned businesses, Gold Star families, military children, and also access to higher education. Among other provisions, the VALOR Act provided greater access to financial assistance for small businesses, afforded greater opportunities for service-disabled veterans to participate in public projects, made it easier for children of military personnel to transfer between school districts in different states, and expanded supports to Gold Star families from the Massachusetts Military Family Relief Fund, which is used to defray the costs of food, housing, utilities, medical service, and other expenses borne by Massachusetts National Guard and Reserve members and their families. So that was the VALOR 1 Act. In 2014, an act relative to veterans' allowances, labor, outreach, and recognition was passed by the legislature and signed into law, and that was known as the VALOR 2 Act. That included additional important measures, including requiring the division of professional licensure within our state government to waive application fees for members of the armed forces who already have experience, a certificate in that particular area, establishing a Veterans Home Modification Program through the Massachusetts Rehab Commission for injured returning veterans and their families, codifying and streamlining the property tax exemption for certain veterans and their spouses who qualify for that, increasing penalties for the disturbance of military funerals or services, and reducing burdens on students enrolled in post-secondary institutions who are called to active duty, and also took some steps to crack down on charity fraud related to veterans, raising money for veterans' causes. And then last year, the state legislature passed and Governor Baker signed into law an act relative to housing, operations, military service, and enrichment that's known as the HOME Act. And as its name suggests, this legislation focused significantly on housing and long-term supports, with key components including preferences for veterans in housing and tax exemptions for disabled veterans and their surviving family members. I just wanted to also mention one key provision of this legislation was the expansion of the public service scholarship to children of any military or service person missing in action, as well as children of prisoners of war. Prior to the HOME Act becoming law and this provision being included, public service scholarships, as some of you may know, were only available to children of MIAs or POWs who served through the Vietnam War. And so this new provision in the bill removes that chronological limitation so that children of service members who served in active duty since the Vietnam War would also be covered under the Public Service Scholarship Program. This provision was originally proposed as legislation that I filed in the state legislature along with Representative Paul Broder, and Representative Broder's office is represented here tonight as well. I appreciate that. And the reason I bring this up, though, is I really want to recognize and thank the Melrose Veterans Advisory Board, because it was their efforts and their advocacy on behalf of this issue. In fact, they were the ones who brought the issue in the first place to myself and Representative Broder, educated us on this issue. And I want to ask any members of the Melrose Veterans Advisory Board or others who worked on this, if you could just stand as well tonight and be recognized. Thank you so much for your help. And this is a great example of, myself, Representative Broder, Representative Wong, Representative Day, Altrino, Donato. We are all strong supporters of our veterans and their families, but of course we can't be experts on everything out there and exactly what all the needs are for our veterans of different ages. And so that's why we really rely on you and your feedback to us. And of course tonight is an opportunity to do that. But really wanted to mention the work of the Melrose Veterans Advisory Board, because that was such a good example of them sharing their input with us, and we were able to turn that into real change through the legislative process. This year now, we just started a new legislative session in January. There are 2-year sessions in the state legislature. As we look ahead to legislation that's filed for the 2017-2018 session, there are a number of bills that have been filed to further strengthen and prioritize our veterans when it comes to housing, tax benefits, issues around homelessness, which is just so tragic that we still have veterans who are suffering from homelessness. There's also various measures in areas of health care, mental health, addiction, and other services and supports for senior citizens, many of which would also benefit our veterans as well. So I look forward, along with my legislative colleagues, to reviewing all of these important bills and to ensure, with your feedback and input to us, that we as a Commonwealth continue to hold true to our commitment to our veterans and to your families, and to properly recognize and honor your sacrifices. We want to make sure that Massachusetts remains a national leader when it comes to supporting our veterans. We can certainly not stand still. There's always more work that we need to do, and I look forward to that. All right, in a moment, I'm going to be turning over the microphone to our featured speaker tonight, we are very privileged to have with us. After he speaks, we will then open up the floor for your questions, your feedback for myself and for the Secretary. I just wanted to remind you that Wakefield Community Access Television is taping the remarks portion of the program, and I want to thank WCAT for being here tonight. But then, after we're done with with my remarks and the Secretary's remarks, we will not be recording the Q&A, and the media will not be covering that, because we want to make sure that if you have anything you want to share with us that's maybe of a little more private or personal nature, that you can rest assured that will stay within this room, this auditorium tonight. Okay? We want everyone to feel comfortable in sharing any questions or feedback with us. All right, without further ado, I want to introduce our speaker tonight. Francisco Ureña, as many of you know, serves as the Veterans Services Secretary under Governor Charlie Baker. Secretary Ureña's commitment to public service began the day after he graduated from high school, when he enlisted in the United States Marine Corps. In 8 years of honorable service, his duties included diplomatic security with the State Department at 2 American embassies, one in Syria, in Damascus, and the other in Bishkek, in Kyrgyzstan. I'm not sure I pronounced that exactly right. Close enough. Close enough. He is a Purple Heart recipient from injuries he sustained during Operation Iraqi Freedom. Secretary Ureña followed his enlistment with a degree in history and legal studies from UMass Lowell. While pursuing his studies, he became involved in various volunteer efforts, which ultimately led to his being appointed as the VSO for the city of Lawrence, and later as the Commissioner of Veterans Services for the city of Boston. Then in 2008, he was honored with the VSO Officer of the Year Award. Secretary Ureña is committed to helping veterans live with dignity, honor, and independence. Please join me in giving a very warm welcome to Secretary Francisco Ureña.
Thank you, Senator.
Thank you.
And let's give a round of applause to Senator Lewis for hosting this great event tonight and having this forum. And I really thank all of you all who have come to Wakefield tonight, whether you're residents or friends or neighbors, to share part of this conversation. I think this sets a model for what the rest of the state and many communities can do to help us as veteran service officers, as a veterans agency, to spread outreach and the sense of connection. And I'm really glad that this is being covered by local access television. I think my involvement with local access television led me to my role as volunteer. When I came into the city of Lawrence, it was local access television that got me to share those words of programs and services available. So thank you for being here. But if we've thanked so many people tonight, if there's one guest that I really want to thank, and I do notice a Gold Star wife in the audience, and let's give her a great round of applause for her service and sacrifice. On behalf of our Governor, Charlie Baker, Lieutenant Governor Polito, and 365,000 veterans who call Massachusetts home, it is a true honor and privilege to lead the Massachusetts Department of Veteran Services. It is a true honor and privilege to work side by side with our partners, our veteran service officers who day in and day out are in each and every community, something that we are very proud of. Unique to our state of Massachusetts, having that VSO as opposed to what our neighbors in neighboring states or across the country have, which is a county system where there may be one VSO for a county. And imagine how much challenge it is to find the VSO in Wakefield. Imagine if we were talking about Middlesex, Essex County, Worcester County, or any throughout the Berkshires, finding that VSO. And so we're very fortunate, and it is a system that has been around for many years. And it is a system that continues to be around because of great support of members of the legislature, such as Senator Lewis, who ensures that he keeps that sense of connection. That every year when we have the VSO luncheon of connections where all of our veteran service officers come to the State House to share their concern, we have the biggest turnout in support of members of the legislature coming out to say, I'm here, I'm present, and what concerns do you have? Just as much as we are here tonight to address your concerns and to ensure that any questions that you all may have and sense of connection to services and programs, that we are able to address those. I do want to ask all of our VSOs to raise your hands once again, all of our veteran service officers, and all of our guests tonight. Take a look, because these folks, I want you all to know that they're here. And so after this conversation is over, feel free to approach all of them, one of them, because they are very knowledgeable individuals, and those are the people that at the end of the day I want to empower so that they could have that sense of connection to our communities. Also with us tonight, we have members of the State Advocacy for Veteran Empowerment Program, short for SAVE. And it is a mission that we have in our Department of Veteran Services, and I do want to recognize them as well. I think you the only one that you just... Okay, Don is also here, so I want to recognize them. They're great individuals who are working to empower veterans, but they're not just in the aspect of coming to forums such as these. They are in and out of the jails when veterans are transitioning. They are in and out of the courts when veterans are going through our veterans courts, which is another program that we're very proud in Massachusetts to have. Veteran courts to have short of 98% of success rates. That means that out of every 100 veteran that walks through that court, only 2 seem to return for a revisit in front of a judge. And so there is a great level of success that happens in these courts that we want to maintain, but I really want to thank our veterans who are working with fellow veterans in the program. We also operate 2 state cemeteries in Agawam and Winchendon, 2 state cemeteries that we are very proud of, that have services each day of the weekday and are really active in ensuring that our veterans and their families get the dignity and respect all the way until their last days. And also 2 veteran soldiers' homes in Holyoke and in Chelsea. There's currently a campus redesign that Governor Baker has committed to ensure that we put a sense of focus into providing services long into generations for veterans who may be a part of that Chelsea Soldiers Home campus. And I'm sure that the Chelsea Soldiers Home in proximity to Wakefield is not that far. So that campus also serves as an opportunity for anybody that wants to volunteer, veteran or not, to make an impact on veterans that reside there, either long-term or temporarily, as an aspect of a community that welcomes the sense of both veterans that live there and also veterans that do not. And also, I want to really thank the aspect of all the benefits that we truly have here in Massachusetts. And I saw some of the folks here tonight. I know that the State Treasurer's Office is here with the Welcome Home Bonus, a bonus that dates back to World War II. And every generation, every major conflict can participate on that bonus. So if you as a veteran don't remember if you received the bonus, touch bases with our coordinators from the Treasurer's Office today to ensure. Again, this is, while yes, it is a gift from the legislature to set aside, it's also a start of a conversation to see what other benefits we could connect it with. And these are not handouts. Don't ever think of any of our benefits in that way. They're a hand up. There are things that you earned. There are things that your family member earned as a veteran. They sacrificed, and there's a certain level of sacrifice that our Commonwealth has done to set up these benefits aside, so do not let them go for granted. And on the topic of state treasurers, always take a look at the abandoned property website, because literally there are billions of dollars in that website. You never know. And I say that, and there was somebody in the audience once that had $17,000, and you wonder, yeah, what kind of person has $17,000 that they found in the treasurer's office? But they were a long-serving member of a military whose parents passed away, and there was an estate that was left, and he was serving abroad and kind of never really followed up in it. He said, oh, let me go check how much it is, and it ended up being $17,000. So I hope you have $17,000, right, that may be found. But I think any amount of property that may be there that belongs to you as whether it's yours or you are the head of the estate, please help us out and secure that so that you could use it to the best of your ability. Should we open it up for questions, Senator?
Matt, should we bring this?
So before we do, and before we close, because I know that we're about to turn off our cameras, I really want to thank all of our veterans, all who have served, all of our Gold Star families, whether you're here or at home tonight watching. Thank you. Because in Massachusetts, we know that when a veteran serves, there's a family that sacrifices. We know that we still have 38 service members from Vietnam alone who have not returned home. So we keep in mind our prisoners of wars and those that are missing in action, whether they are from Vietnam, Korea, World War II, or any aspects of service in between. And let us also remember that here in a couple of weeks, there is going to be a community, a veteran in Holyoke who's going to be returning from the Korean War. And that is the aspect why that POW, prisoner of war, missing in action flag flies, to bring awareness to those families, to bring awareness to families who each have celebrated, in a sense, their homecoming after so many years of the family keeping hope. And so, once again, to all those who have served, thank you. To all those who are helping veterans that have also served, thank you for what you do. And our offices, their offices, are available to ensure that any needs, any conversation, any aspect of opportunity, whether it's volunteers or whether it's the aspect of service, those doors will remain open, because that is the network that we have here in Massachusetts. It is all about taking care of one another. It's all about building the safety net of benefits and services that veterans and families have earned. And these benefits belong to these veterans. So let's not keep them as a best kept secret. And let's encourage more of these conversations that we're having tonight in many places throughout our communities. Thank you so very much. And now I encourage you all to be our advocates. When you walk through a senior center where you engage with another veteran, remind them about their VSOs. If there's one thing you remember tonight, know that there's a veteran service officer in every community. And I think leaving with that, I think we'll be very pleased, because at the end of the day, that's what we try to embark, is that sense of support and safety net that we talk about again. So thank you so very much, and God bless.